lucky one. You guys know. There they are. Thank you for whoever hit that like button. About ready to get this thing started here. A couple minutes. Get your bad takes ready.
Get your bad takes ready.
An encore.
Translated says Malik Willis is the future. Can you feel it? Regular season's coming, baby.
Hey, yo, the lies told that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, canvas open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes wet. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it, maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me, it's never the sway me into this. Maybe we winning is crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. It's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. It's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. It's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.
Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to the Main Event Football Show. I am Main Event Mike. I am your host, and on tonight's program, we are going to talk about the final 53-man roster facing the Detroit Lions. We're going to give you our predictions here at the Village Squad, what we think the 53-man is going to be. There have already been a lot of cuts today, just since we were on with Russell Wayne this morning on the Villain Report. I hope you guys were tuning in, where Russ and I went through a lot of these roster projections, but so much stuff has happened since then. Let's jump right into it. Mitchell Agude has been cut. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been cut. Bam Knight, Caden Davis, Ty Summers, the linebacker with the cool throwback neck roll. Pat O'Connor, defensive end. Brian Hudson, interior offensive lineman. And big surprise, Shane Zylstra, the tight end, cut today before the final cuts. We're going to talk about all of that. We're also going to talk about this Lions victory at Ford Field against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their final preseason game. But before we do that, we're going to have to pay some bills. We are broadcasting live in Facebook on Lions Villain Squad page. Go on over there and follow us, would you? We're over 52,000 villains strong. We'd love to have you added to the fold. We also are broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News podcast channel. Over 75,000 followers. Big nod of the tip of the cap to Joe Chapp and the boys over there at the Detroit Lions News podcast. Also broadcasting live into the Huddle Sports Zone on Roku TV. Also, sorry about that, the JC Sports at YouTube as well. Also on YouTube, our own little old YouTube channel, the little YouTube channel that could. It's at Villain Squad. If you could go over there and subscribe to that channel. Also at JC Sports on YouTube's where you can find this program now live and also after it's been recorded. I'd like to say hi to everybody that's in here today. Davey, what's up, my buddy? One pride, it takes more. Fred Peterson, good evening. It's a great day to be a Lion. One pride. Chad, our good resident buddy, says hello, fam. What's up, fam? Anyway, Main Event Mike here with you. And, of course, I'm not alone. I have a partner in crime. He's on the other side of the glass. He's our awesome, illustrious producer. His name, Mr. Russell Wayne.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program, Wayne. Russell Wayne, so glad to have you here. I want to jump right into Shane Zylstra as one of the cuts, right? I know we were going to talk about the game first. My bad. We were going to talk about the game. But you know what?
Go ahead, do the game first. I'll slip back here.
Saturday. All right, 24-17, Lions win their final preseason game. They go 2-1 in the preseason. Hendon Hooker looked pretty good. He was moving the team. He did have an interception, but it bounced off of a receiver's hands. Isaiah Williams, he's the other guy that I got to put on this list that I forgot. Isaiah Williams. I just thought of who it was. So Lions win their final preseason game, mostly all third and fourth stringers. The Pittsburgh Steelers played their first string in the first quarter, and they jumped up to a 14-0 lead on us, as a first string team should against a bunch of backups. But when Pittsburgh started to put in their backups and matching their 2s and 3s against our 2s and 3s, we started to turn the tide and scored 24-3 unanswered points at one stretch. So Lions overall, Dan Campbell in his press conference, encouraged by what he saw, a lot of growth from young players and players on the back end, just a stellar post-game press conference where Dan Campbell was talking about how great the fans are. Was a great weekend. It was a harrowing game. We jumped out to a 14-0 deficit. It's like, oh man, do I even want to keep watching this? But by the end, we're glad we did. We didn't have to see Nate Sudfeld, so I think that made it more enjoyable. We got to see Jake from State Farm take some snaps at cornerback, and he did not disappoint. Jake Fromm, 6 of 8 for 89 yards. He had a passer rating of 110.9, and he looked better. In just 8 attempts, he looked better than Nate Sudfeld has ever looked, in my opinion. I'm pining for this guy to be the guy that we try to get in the practice squad. I don't think we're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. I think we're only going to keep 2, and that's going to be Goff and Hooker. And based on the way the game went on Saturday, I still stick by that. But Nate Sudfeld can hit the road as far as I'm concerned, and I don't care if it's Jake Fromm, if it's Brian Hoyer at 39 years old, somebody else as that QB3. Nate Sudfeld will clear waivers. That's the one thing he's got going for him. No one else is going to pick him up. And the Lions like his IQ in the QB room. He just can't move the offense. He holds the ball too long. It's just not conducive to what we're trying to do here for Nate Sudfeld to be on this team. So hope Nate Sudfeld never knows who I am. Russ, you got anything to add to any of those points, my good friend?
Well, it was for me, the Shane Zylstra was a surprise because I was really let me get myself back up in here. The Shane Zylstra, I was trying to find the right one right there. My little graphic guy right there. He's a big-bodied, more of a wide receiver, pass-catching tight end. I thought he had a chance to make the team because he was the bigger body. But they got rid of a lot of the big receivers, Mike. The only one that's really left that is the big receiver is Darius Fountain, which I think does bode well for him. I don't know if he makes the final 53, but he is the last of the ex-receiver types because Caden Davis is gone. Shane Zylstra is gone. And now Donovan Peoples-Jones as well, which right there is probably the biggest surprise of the cuts. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to make this team based off of almost name alone.
Yeah, I mean, so far the biggest surprise. And really, I'm not that surprised about DPJ. Actually, on my final roster cuts, which I made before
Me neither.
DPJ, I did not have DPJ making the team. So, and though I'm a huge Michigan fan, go Blue. He was never that great at Michigan. I think it was a 5th round pick. He was never
right.
He was never Braylon Edwards at Michigan. He was never Anthony Carter at Michigan. But it was great to see him. He had a decent year, a couple of years in Cleveland. He was touted as being a good downfield blocker. He was touted as having a good football IQ, but we saw in the last couple preseason games, Donovan Peoples-Jones looked like a fish out of water. He looked lost. He had the undrafted rookie Isaiah Williams happen to tell him where to line up and where to be on a play. And you know, he seemed to quit on a ball that was over his head in the end zone. He didn't really make that much of an effort for it, and not giving enough effort is going to do you in with Dan Campbell 100 out of 100 times. I think that's what the issue is here. Is he washed, or is he just was never that good to begin with? I do believe DPJ will clear waivers, and we will not get him back. That's my prediction there. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you think. What's the biggest surprise so far? Bam Knight, the running back, goes. Ty Summers, the linebacker, had a great preseason game Saturday with that old school neck roll. He was really drawing a lot of attention. The word on the street, too, from Adam Schefter, or maybe it's Tom Pelissaro, who says that defensive end Pat O'Connor was waived, and the Lions are hoping, and this was a quote, the Lions are hoping that he clears waivers because he had some great plays in the preseason. They wanted him on the practice squad. That's a defensive end Pat O'Connor, who was waived today as well. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you think. What's the biggest surprise to you? What do we got in these comments? Let's take a look. Fred says, I think DPJ is just done. Wanted to collect some quick cash. And this is a question for you, Russ. When we cut DPJ, do we still have to pay him?
Oh,
do you know?
Well, for sure. But they were only paying him a bag of chips anyway. I think his contract was only 2, and I don't think it was all guaranteed. I think that he had to make the roster for some of that. So I don't think they're out that much money on that. And if they are, they still have $42 million worth of cap. We're not strapped for cap. You know, you know, you took a swing, you took a 6th-round draft pick swing at him, and he can't help it. I mean, if Darius Fountain outplayed him, then Darius Fountain should be on the team, in my opinion.
It's a good call out. It's a good call out. Chad says, I think we need to keep Jake Fromm because I doubt he clears waivers. Practice squad for Suckfeld. Well, you don't keep Jake Fromm because unless you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, okay?
No.
Last year at the 53-man roster cut, they only carried 2 quarterbacks, Teddy Bridgewater and Jared Goff. Nate's Hendon Hooker was essentially redshirted and put on the NFI list. This year, I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to go in with that number. A lot of these coaches' staffs, when they get set on how many guys they like at a position going into the season, they stick with it. It'll be interesting to see if the Lions do that. But I don't think you just keep Jake Fromm. You either waive him, he clears waivers, and then you sign him to your practice squad. That's how it works, Chad, but thanks for the comment. Shane's in the house. Let's go. What's up? Carolyn's in the house. So sad about DPJ. Is it really, though, Carolyn? Are you saying that because you're a Wolverine fan? What has he done for us lately? What has DPJ done when he got here for us to go, wow, wow, I can't believe they cut Donovan Peoples-Jones. He did wear Mason Blue, you know. I mean, come on. This guy, I mean, he's deserved to get cut. Shane Zylstra, that's more of a head scratcher to me. He had a game after we cut Hawkinson, he had 2-3 touchdowns in one game. He had a touchdown the other day in a preseason game. Shane Zylstra playing like an ex-receiver from the tight end position. He's definitely a guy I saw the Lions keeping. I had to make an adjustment to my 53-man roster when Shane Zylstra was cut because I thought they were going to keep 4 tight ends is what I thought. But I was wrong. Unless they keep Parker Hesse, then it will be 4. A lot of chatter out there that tight end James Mitchell will be cut. I do not believe that James Mitchell will be cut. He's a Brad Holmes draft pick, and he hasn't done anything to lose his job. And that's how these player coaches play it. Detroit fan man, one of the best there is, says Doris Fountain tweeted, wow. I'm thinking this means he assumed he was getting cut and somehow stuck around. Wild. Yeah, it was very cryptic, fan man. All it said was, wow. I mean, you can interpret that 1,000 different ways, I suppose. But that's how you took it, that he's going to keep his job. It could be, wow, I can't believe I played so good in the preseason. They cut me. What do you think wow means, Russ, from Doris Fountain?
You're right. It could mean either thing. But, Caden Davis being cut and Donovan Peoples-Jones, those were two of the big-bodied wide receivers. And really, I thought it was a three-way race, and I think that they probably felt that it was a three-way race too. And maybe he didn't feel like he was the best out of those three, but he made it through. And he's like, wow. Or he just got cut himself, and we're not going with as many wide receivers or whatever, because this goes to what I was talking about earlier, is this isn't wide receiver versus wide receiver. This is wide receiver possibly versus a linebacker versus a defensive end that's on the back end of the roster. What else can you do? Maybe this says that we keep less offensive depth in those two positions because we want to keep more linebackers and guys that can rush the passer, because that's where we have more talent, stocked up. So who knows what they're really going to think?
That's a great call out. Lion King says, we need a big X wide receiver like Treylon Burks. I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you on this one, Lion King. Do we really need an X receiver? I've been thinking about this a lot, because that is such a common narrative around Lions fans, around in the groups, in the back chats. We need a big body X receiver. I've been guilty of saying it, that's what we need is this. But do we really? What does a big body X receiver give you? And that's what I've been thinking about lately. What they're good for is 50-50 balls, jump balls, guys that play outside the numbers that you can throw one up in one-on-one coverage and you trust that they're going to get it. DeAndre Hopkins, he's probably the best in the business at it. Justin Jefferson, one of the best in the business at it. We don't have that guy, and we still don't have that guy. But guess what, folks? That's a very low percentage play. Those plays don't hit even when you've got DeAndre Hopkins jumping up there to get it. They are low percentage hit plays. I think if Jameson Williams can take the top off the defense and get behind the safety and run free, you don't need that big X. And you've got Amon-Ra working across the middle. When he does the dig and the curl route, no one can stop that play. No one can stop it. You've got Sam Laporta, one of the best tight end receiving tight ends in the league, and he plays like an X receiver outside the numbers as well. We saw Sam Laporta get a lot of 50-50 balls last season where it would be a back shoulder throw or something like that, which is another form of a 50-50 ball, but not necessarily a jump ball. Treylon Burks, by the way, Lion King, he's an asthmatic bust so far. If he was that good, they wouldn't have paid Tyler Boyd to come in at the third. They wouldn't have paid Calvin Ridley and the aforementioned DeAndre Hopkins. They've got a hell of a wide receiver trio there. And Treylon Burks should be good enough. DeAndre Hopkins is old. Calvin Ridley's troubled. And Tyler Boyd's been a career number 3. So you have to ask yourself, why are they trying to get rid of him? He's a first-round pick that they're willing to give up for a third or a fourth. Maybe I'll bet you they'd let him go for a fifth. He might even just get cut, and then you could pick him up. There are a lot of these players that happen every year. They try to trade him. They try to trade him because they know they're not going to sign him. So they cut him, and somebody swoops in and snatches him up. And that might be an answer for the Lions, Lion King. That might be the big X receiver that you're talking about. Maybe it's a guy that gets cut from another team and the Lions bring him in. Certainly possible. Last year, the Lions went with wide receiver. They went with 5 on the 53-man. They went into the season last year with 5, and Jameson Williams was suspended, so essentially 6. When J-Mo came back, that they had to get rid of somebody off the roster. I believe it was a special teams or might have been Chase Lucas. They got rid of somebody to make room for J-Mo when he came in. And it's going to be the same thing this time when we get Ife Melifanu back, when we get John Kaminsky back. Some of the people that you see on this 53-man roster are not going to be here after week 4. Christian Mahogany also placed on the NFI list. He'll be available to be on the active roster after 4 weeks of the season. So there you go. Shane in the house says Russ Fire with the appropriate amount of S's. That's why that one got mentioned. Elise Means. Hi, Russell. Hi, Elise Memes. Go check out at Elise Memes. She's the goddess, the queen of memes, and you will not be disappointed when you go look at her page. Detroit Fan Man says Daly goes down to Hatton, long snapper battle upset. What a great call out. Scott Daly was on this team last year as the long snapper. He has been released also. They cut Scott Daly, and they're going with Hogan Hatton.
That's right, brother.
Hogan. brother, I'm doing the long snapping, brother.
That's right. There's nobody that can snap a ball better than a guy with 24-inch pythons.
That's right, brother. Good call, though, Detroit Fan Man. That is notable. The Lions went into the season with only 3 players designated for special teams. So you have to have some positional value to play on special teams. It's not like some of these other teams where they got guys that just play special teams. They don't even have a position. And now with the new kickoff rules, that's changing too. So you need to have some flexibility and some positional flexibility. But to keep a long snapper, it is a specific art to long snap in the NFL. And Scott Daly, known as a good one. So this Hogan Hatton, I'm going to be honest, folks, I don't know a whole lot about Hogan Hatton. But our coaching staff likes him better than Scott Daly, who is touted to be a good one. I can't think of a botched long snap for the Detroit Lions in 3 years. So great call out by Detroit Fan Man there. Shane says Malik Willis traded to the Pack, for a 7th-round pick. But Sean Clifford. What about Sean Clifford, Packer fans? You was telling me last year after 7 games that he needed to come in and replace Jordan Love. Now you bring in Malik Willis. Ugh. Remember those Lions fans who was trying to sell you on drafting Malik Willis in the 1st round? Oh, my gosh.
Mike, they're trying to blame us now on that. I saw them posting out stuff that said that it was us saying that Clifford needed to come in, and they proved us all wrong because they all believed in Jordan Love.
Of course, that's what they said. Because when they were 2-4, we couldn't find them for a comment at all.
Protection.
I mean, hey, I love you, Packer fans. Not really, but I love you anyway. And I'm just telling you, you were nowhere to be found. It wasn't until you came back and beat that bum Derek Carr that I even started to hear from you guys. Broski, our resident Bear fan, Russ. Mike, how you doing? We're doing good, Broski. Congrats on your preseason championship. Congrats. Jeremy at 7:13. Oh, so he was probably ahead of us as usual. Scott Daly just got cut. Yeah. Carolyn says, I am a Wolverine fan, thus I love DPJ. And I'm a Wolverine fan too, Carolyn. But let's admit, he wasn't even good at Michigan. He was mid at best at Michigan. He was supposed to be great. When he came in as a blue chip recruit, he was supposed to be great, but he never lived up to that, and he never lived up to his NFL billing either. Jeremy says he thought Zylstra was going to make it too. Yeah, for sure, man. Jason MC, what's up, Skull, buddy? Skull! Mitchell has been underwhelming. James Mitchell has been, but Mitchell Agude has been waived. He had a good preseason, and they let him go. I think Isaac Ukwu makes this team, folks. I think Isaac Ukwu makes this team. Shane says Zylstra was looking really good, though, too, and he was. Jeremy expected Doris Fountain to go, did nothing when the lights were on, but good in practice. And maybe he's got that body type that we were talking about that the Lions are looking for. But he'll be the last guy on the end of the bench, I believe. Isaiah Williams is going to make this team, and I think he has surpassed Doris Fountain in the pecking order myself. And then Jeremy reiterates what we said earlier. Our last wide receiver could come from the waiver wire. It's a great take, Jeremy. Thank you. Don't forget, you can catch our buddy Smoking Jeremy B also on the Roku network in the Huddle Sports Zone. Jason MC says, Dalton Risner, IR designated today. Someone please make it stop. That is such – I did not know that, Jason. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's been horrible what's happened to the Vikings this year. I mean, Dalton Risner, this is a guy they picked off the trash heap last year, and he played great. He formed himself into a starter. That is very sad that he goes down. And I get what you're saying. Make it stop. You had a rookie cornerback die in an auto accident. Tragic. You had Mekhi Blackman go down with a hamstring before even the first training camp game. It was just in OTAs he blew out his hamstring. Lewis Seen is a bust. J.J. McCarthy tears his MCL out for the season. The hits just keep coming. Jordan Addison gets hammered and arrested driving. The hits just keep coming from Minnesota. Look on the bright side, Jason. All right. His name is, what is his name? The edge from Alabama they got. Not Will Anderson. The heck's his name? Anyway, your draft pick from Alabama, the defensive end, you guys did good there. He's looking good in practice. So I think that's one bright spot to look at. And hey, you still got a lot of weapons, bro. Don't sell Sam Darnold short. Sam Darnold can win games in this league. Ask the 2022 Detroit Lions who got manhandled in Carolina by it. Okay? He had some really, really terrible teams in New York when they drafted him at 20 years old, by the way. They threw him right in. Do not be surprised when you've got Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Oliver, two of the best tight ends in the league, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne. You got some weapons over there. Don't be surprised. And a good offensive line. Two of the best tackles in the league. And now Dalton Risner goes down, but he was never like a first-round draft pick, a Pro Bowl player anyway. He's a guy. He's a jag. You picked him up off the waiver wire as a jag. He's just a guy. So don't fret, Jason. I think the future is not as bleak for the Minnesota Vikings as Russell Wayne and some other people have suggested. What do you think of that? Is Dalton Risner going down a big blow for Skull Nation, Russell?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of on your side with the Sam Darnold thing. It's like Sam Darnold has never had anybody to throw to. He played for a dumpster fire in the New York Jets when they drafted him in there. And then he goes to Carolina and really didn't have anything. Then he goes and becomes a backup in San Francisco. So he's never really had a chance to do anything. And now you're going to put him in an offense that's got Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson with Aaron Jones at running back and an awesome offensive line. I mean, anything's possible.
Brian Flores on defense, pulling the most out of some scrubs that he might have.
Anything is possible when it comes with this stuff. But I mean, my thinking that they're going to finish in the bottom of the division has more to do with what we did and what the Packers did and what the Bears did more than what they don't have now.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy says, we haven't had a big wide receiver yet. We have been a top 5 to 10 offense 2 years in a row. We haven't had that big X receiver. It's a great call out. But Josh Reynolds was in that mold, though. And Chad says, well, J-Mo's 7 feet tall when he beats the coverage by 5 yards. You might as well. It doesn't matter how tall he is when you're behind the defense. Great call, Chad. Broski says, Rome Odunze doesn't grow on trees or something.
Hey, that means that Rome Odunze is good. We give Rome Odunze their love.
That is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Shut up, dumbass. Rome Odunze sucks.
Being traded to the Fudgies is like being sent to hell. Well, I don't know. They are the winningest NFL franchise in history, broski. So a little hard to defend. I mean, I'm right there to back you up on that take, brother, but the stats don't lie. In fact, the Lions could sweep the Packers every year for the rest of my life and still not even the series. Okay. So I'm pretty sure hell would be a little worse than that. But I love the call out. Thank you. Gun Guy says Rome Odunze hasn't proven anything. Well, he said proven nothing, but that's double negative. So we'll go with proven anything. Sadly, I'm pre-packing crow sandwiches in my lunchbox all year, Jason. I love that. Mitchell Agude didn't do more than Betts, Ukwu, or even the last game with James Houston. True, but he did have some flashes. I think he looked pretty Agude. Yeah. Dallas Turner. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Yeah, can I get a Kirk Cousins for that?
You like that?
Yeah, sorry, guys. The drop machine broke. If you would join our Patreon, we could buy a new drop machine and we could bring back Kirk Cousins. We can't even have Pete the Unaliver back.
I took care of that thing for you.
Thank you. Broski Bear says, Gun Guy, he'll take the top off the Lions secondary this season. Rome Odunze going to take the top off of the Lions secondary. We got Aaron Rodgers' daddy,
clamps.
Kirby Joseph, Aaron Rodgers' daddy back there. He's a ball hawk, and he just wants you to think you're getting behind him.
It's like,
oh, how's this for a bold take? Gun Guy, people keep receipts around here, buddy. You better be careful. He says, watch the Vikings have a better record than the Bears and the Packers. I did not agree with that take. I think the Bears will have a better record than the Vikings. Russ, what do you think on that take?
Well, what I think is he better be that's one thing that we do keep is we keep receipts on this show. And it's really funny. Some of the people that have came onto the show and have forgotten what they said only a few short months ago, sometimes even a few short weeks ago. So run your mouth all you want. We keep the receipts. And by the way, we show up to take it. You know, when it's our turn to take our lumps and we have to show up and take them, we show up and take the lumps. When we lose, we show up. We can't say that for the other fan bases. So while we're all in the smack talking right now and in this world, just remember, we're going to be here, win or lose. We were here 3-13 coming on the program. We were here at 1-6 coming on the program, eating our crow. We can't say the same for everybody, but I know that this crowd is going to be a better crowd than last year's crowd. Don't you think, Mike?
Absolutely. 100%. I don't think it's even a question. Chad says, so Funk hasn't been cut yet. No, Jake Funk, son of Dory and Terry Funk Jr., right? That's a little wrestling reference for you, Russell. I know you're impressed. I know who Dory Funk is. But no, he's not been after scoring a touchdown in the preseason game, but he will be, Chad. He's going to be. Sion Vaki's going to make this team, and Funk certainly didn't do enough to supplant Craig Reynolds. That would make 4 running backs. They only went Jake Funk time. I mean, he certainly, even though he played good, he did not do enough to supplant Craig Reynolds. And Sion Vaki's going to make this team. They only went into the season last year with 3 running backs, and Craig Reynolds wasn't even one of them. Jason Cabinda was. Craig Reynolds cleared waivers and came back, or he was on an injury designation or something, and we were able to retain him. And then Cabinda went down for good, never to be seen again. So they went into the year with 3 running backs. I predict they go in with 4, and Jacob Funk is not one of them. Gun Guy says Rome Odunze, Kirby Joseph will take his knee out. We're going to bite a kneecap off.
I'm going to bite a kneecap. Hey, you know what Dan Campbell said about Sion Vaki, right?
What's that?
You voice have like an angel. Voice of an angel.
I love this call from Fan Man. Although Isaiah Williams is looking pretty good, the Lions UDFA streak officially continues with Hatton. The new long snapper was an undrafted free agent. This is a big story that no one's talking about, Fan Man. I love that you're in here bringing this up. I mean, this guy was, I didn't know nothing about this guy. Or I didn't know anything much about Scott Daly. Who pays attention to the long snapper much? Not even the most in-depth analysis usually passes right over the long snapper. But I love this call out. He was an undrafted free agent, according to Detroit Fan Man. That's a semi-reliable source, fair folks. I'll let you know that. He was an undrafted free agent. Hayden Hatton, is that his name? Long snapper. Get used to it. And now the another undrafted free agent makes the team. It's awesome. It's awesome. And James Houston's going to make the team as well. It's another HBCU guy that's going to stick. Brad Holmes checking boxes of the character and the things that he wants in a team and the personnel that he's assembling. Crushing it. Our guy's crushing it. All right? Brad Holmes is absolutely crushing it. Howie Roseman might be crushing it more. I'm not afraid to say it. Howie Roseman's like badass, right? Okay. He is the top of the top right now. I thought Ryan Poles killed it this offseason. Absolutely killed it. Ryan Poles, the offseason that he had this year is legendary, in my opinion. When you couple with what he did last year in the DJ Moore trade, he's had two of the best years a Chicago Bear general manager has ever had in my lifetime over the last 2 years. I mean, Justin Fields, he had the balls to let Justin Fields go. Half the fan base was split down the middle because he's so dangerous. You could tell the athletic ability is so dangerous. He could win a game for you at any time, but he could also lose a game for you at any time. And kudos to Ryan Poles for targeting his guy 2 years ago. He knew it was Caleb Williams 2 years ago. Yeah, give me DJ Moore. You can have this first round pick. I don't like any of these guys. No one could predict what happened with CJ Stroud. No one could predict that. But he knew he didn't want Bryce Young. Now, I'll take your first round pick next year when Caleb comes out, because I've got so much money and so much draft capital that even if you don't have the first pick, I can trade up to get the first pick. It's always been Caleb Williams, and kudos to Ryan Poles for having an incredible 2-year run so far under the Chicago Bears. The real question, and I know the one that Russell Wayne likes to talk about, is what will happen to Matt Eberflus if the Bears do well, or if they don't do well this year. Do you re-sign Eberflus? Half the fans in Chicago like him, and half the fans don't. Russell, what's your take on Eberflus? And if let's say he has a 9-8 year and they don't make the playoffs, which would be outstanding for a rookie quarterback, by the way, what would you see happening to Matt Eberflus?
Man, that would be the worst case scenario for him to finish like 8-9, 9-8, and miss the playoffs, and just have Eberflus just kind of sneak across right there and kind of get an extension and stay. Just stinks in here a little bit, but they kept Eberflus around. I think it needs to be like he needs to fall off the ledge right here so Poles can bring in his own guy for these young guys, because I don't think that any Chicago Bear fan, even the homers, would say Eberflus is the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. Like, you got the team now. You got a general manager that can get talent for you. Now you need to get the coaching right, unless you believe in Eberflus. If you do, I want to know. I really do.
Yeah, Broski Bear, let us know what you think of Eberflus, because I think it's interesting. This is a guy Ryan Poles did not hire. So if everything goes to shit, he can always scapegoat Eberflus and get his own coach in there and tell the McCaskey family, yeah, look, he wasn't my guy anyway. That's what they love to do. Broski Bear says the DJ Moore trade and the Montez Sweat trade, and by the way, they were in the play to get Matthew Judon. Okay. Phew. We dodged a bullet there. Apparently, the Patriots gave Judon his choice. You want to go play in Atlanta, or do you want to go play on that parking lot called Soldier Field? And he chose the Atlanta Falcons. Thank you, Matthew Judon, because you're a game wrecker. And putting you on that line with Montez Sweat would spell danger for NFC North teams like the Detroit Lions. But it's a great call out, Broski. Those were two monster trades. And almost getting Judon. And then they go out and they get Williams, the linebacker from Seattle. They just signed him. He's a guy who's had 9.5 sacks in this league before. And he's still relatively young. So they are they know they're thin at pass rusher, and they're making moves to try to get him. The question is, always has been and still is, about the offensive line on that team. We'll see if it can hold up. Broski says that James Houston is also known as Captain Stubbs. All 6 foot, 250 pounds of him, stubby. And then, of course, Jeremy had to straight him straight and tell him that James Houston is 6'1", 240. But
I got to say something about
go
that.
Ahead. Go ahead.
We may cut James Houston. Now, this is where we keep receipts and it's something. Now, you've been in the offseason telling us how bad all of our guys are, but watch him change his tune if James Houston doesn't clear waiver and all of a sudden the Chicago Bears pick up one of these guys. Then all of a sudden it's going to be like, well, he is 6'1". He's 250 pounds. Maybe you could do something better for the Bears.
Well, I'll take you back 2 years from today. 2 years from today, the Detroit Lions cut 7th round rookie James Houston. And he cleared the waivers, and he came back, and they signed him to the practice squad. And after 7 games of the season, the guys on the practice squad came to the coach and said, why isn't this guy playing? He's absolutely killing us in practice. That's a true story, folks. That's not a main event Mike fabrication that I'm laying on you here. Some bullshit. That's not that. That's what actually happened. The offensive line starters said, you got to put this guy in. And they did. And he played 11 career games, and he has 8.5 sacks. 8.5 sacks in 11 games. Oh, yeah, James Houston's going to make this team. You could call him Captain Stubbs. You can call him whatever you want. What I call him, the NFL record holder for a rookie on sacks in an 8-game span. That's what he is. And they are not going to let him go away. If they cut him again this time, no way James Houston clears waivers. Broski, you're going to be the first one to be applauding when Ryan Poles scoops him up if the Lions do cut James Houston. The way you're out there begging for defensive end help. Can we make a meme of Ryan Poles on a street corner holding a sign that says defensive end help, anything helps, God bless? Oh, Russ, you lost your sound. You lost your sound.
James Houston.
There you go. There you go. We can hear you. We got you.
Now, James Houston last year reminds me of a guy that the Bears got last year and that they liked it. That's a really good sack master. That's Yannick. And Yannick can sack the shit out of the quarterback, but he can't play the run. And James Houston's that's the question that is being asked of him. Now that he can't be a linebacker too, you can get after the quarterback. There's no question he can get after the quarterback. That's his best skill, but you need to be able to do more than that. So we'll have to see, because he did make a couple run stops on a third string defense or a third string offense in Pittsburgh. So who knows? Andy got a sack, but I agree with you. When you got a guy that's got a good first step like that you can't teach that. You can't teach that. And you would love to have him, Broski.
For sure. Well, Yannick Ngakoue is currently a free agent. So he's not even on the Bears. He signed a 1-year deal last year. And he is currently a free agent. And he is not on a sign. He's rumored to be going to Miami, where he played before. Broski says Yannick got injured and he's not the same player anymore. Same right with Houston. Now, it's too early to say that, Broski, that it's the same with Houston. He played 3 preseason games and had 1.5 sacks. He had 1.5 sacks in 3 games. He has 8.5 sacks in 11 games. I don't see where there's a drop-off. The percentage is exactly the same. He had a terrible, devastating ankle injury, and he's rehabbed his way back. If he does get cut, I'll be shocked. I'll just say that. All right, we're going to bring this up because Jeremy's great at bringing up stuff that's good to talk about. The third quarterback, if you guys remember, the Detroit Lions lobbied the owners for a rule change, that there would be a an emergency quarterback rule. After what happened to Brock Purdy and the Niners 2 years ago in the championship game, this is something the Lions pined for in 23. For 2024, we want to have an emergency designation that we can pull up a guy from the practice squad and sign him to the active roster in the case of a quarterback injury. Now, the owners have overridden, they have vetoed that rule, and it will not be in play for the 2024 season. Jeremy speculated in the back chat that maybe this is why they haven't let Sudfeld go. Maybe this is why they brought in Jake Fromm, not just because of Hooker's concussion, but because they were planning on using this third quarterback emergency rule. And now they're not going to be able to do that. So they're going to have to go into the 53-man roster with 2 quarterbacks and let Fromm and Sudfeld hit the open market and hope one of them comes back to them. Oh, God, here we go. Preseason doesn't matter. He had a sack against third teamers and had like 1 tackle. Okay. Yeah, he didn't play that many snaps either. I mean, the guys that you're pretty sure are going to make the team, you don't give them a lot of snaps.
And that's everybody in preseason. I mean, that's what I like to call the back out. You're backing out of the conversation. We're just talking football here. And it's like, guess what? Every single team that played a preseason game was playing against their third stringers, including Caleb Williams, who went 6 for 13.
Mm-hmm.
and then you're crowning the guy. So guess what? You scored your touchdowns against third stringers. He must not be good.
Right. Fred says, then in that case, Caleb Williams' plays don't matter either.
I mean, you want to talk the stats in there that don't matter. It's like you're 4-0 in preseason.
And here's another good point, Broski, from Jeremy. He was still injured prior to the week 3 of the preseason. So he didn't get in that first game and look good because he was still playing hurt. So, but I will be shocked if James Houston doesn't make the team. By the way, you might have not noticed, but I'm a huge James Houston fan. So I am a little biased, Broski. And look, I know there's some validity to what you're saying there. I know that Big Dan Davis has been out there spouting it off that he's not the same. He doesn't have the same bend. He doesn't have the same twitch off the line, that quick first step that he had. Well, I trust the evaluators that work in Allen Park more than I trust you evaluating one preseason game. That's it. That's all you've seen.
What, like 9 snaps? You got
That's all any of you have seen. That's all any of you have seen. I don't care. Even your Jeremy B. And you went down to training camp. You still didn't see much from James Houston, enough to go out there and stick out your chest and say he's washed. I'm sorry. He has 8.5 sacks in 11 games. Until that number should speak for itself.
And we're talking about like the back end of it. We're talking about number 51, 52, and 53 right here. And we're talking about like this. You didn't see any of our good players. They've all been sitting in street clothes for 3 weeks. You don't want to see those players. Right. Those players are ready to come bite the kneecaps. The guys that have been fighting are the 37 guys fighting for 6 roster spots. Everybody else is in street clothes. The first string, the second string, and even some of the third string sitting in street clothes.
Chad says, what's up? I think Houston stays as well. He looked good in the preseason game. Chad's telling me to go out and buy a Houston jersey. I've already got his Jackson State jersey, bro. Why would I have?
He's got a Kevin Jones jersey. Come on, don't have him go out and make these bad decisions.
I will take that Kevin Jones jersey and a roll of duct tape, and I will turn that into a James Houston jersey. A-Dub in the house. Packer Nation showing up. What's up, fellas? Carolyn says, I don't know.
Packer takes.
Green Bay is acquiring Malik Willis from Tennessee on Monday for the price of a 2025 7th-round pick, according to ESPN per CBS Sports. Yes, and A-Dub, now that you're in the house, what do you think of Malik Willis going to Lambeau, and all of the Sean Clifford apologists are going to be running for the hills now? Tell me, A-Dub, from one of the Packer fans, I respect your word the most. What do you make of this Malik Willis coming in to back up Jordan Love? Is he going to be the number 2 even? And here's a great call. To your point, Russ, Jeremy says there were 42 players to not take a preseason snap in games. So we're only talking about 11 players making this 53. Those 42 players didn't play because their roster spot was set. What a great problem to have in Detroit. What a great time to be a Lions fan when the guys that get cut from our team are going to get picked up by other teams because we're that good. We're that deep. Oh, didn't think I'd ever see this day. It's a great day to be a Lions fan.
Hey, Mike, I do got one comment on Malik Willis. I do remember doing shows on here trying to talk people off of the ledge saying, we should take Malik Willis at number 2 overall. We need a quarterback.
Yeah. And then he goes, 6th round? He went in the 6th round, and now they trade back a 7th round for him. So that's, folks, if you buy a car for $1,000 and have to sell it for $500, you didn't do well. Unless you got some miles on it, and they didn't get any miles out of Malik Willis. Instead, they lose the draft capital. They go from a 6th round pick to a 7th round pick. All right.
Got some Kevin Jones jersey truthers out there. Damn.
Jason MC says the Vikings got their own Legatron. He made a bunch of field goals, 1 for 57 against Philly. He's that guy. All right. And that's the guy from Stanford, if I'm not mistaken, that we were looking at. We wanted them to take a kicker. I did. Wanted them to – Russ is always against taking a kicker in the draft. regardless of who he
Don't
is.
take a kicker.
He doesn't care if it's Lou Groza or Adam Vinatieri. He does not care. Do not take a kicker. But I wanted us to take this Richard guy, Reichard, and it looks like from what Jason's saying, he's the real deal in Minnesota. Because I'm on record now. I'll say it until the day I die. I am not completely sold on Jake Bates. I hope I'm wrong, but I got a bad feeling about it. Oh, Chance. He's got an Okuda and a Swift jersey. That's bad, but you know what I got? I've got an Allen Iverson Pistons jersey. And Jeremy says, I still think Legatron is disrespectful to Calvin Johnson. Well, you should blame Greg Zerline because he's had the name for 4 years, crying out loud. People getting their panties all in a bunch about the Legatron thing. We had one guy on our page. That page is called Lions Villain Squad, by the way. If you haven't followed the page already, please head on over to Facebook and like the Lions Villain Squad page. We had some guy, some jackwagon in there making a comment, saying that, I hope you like the nickname I made up. Dude, I didn't even respond to that. I was like, dude, they've been calling Greg Zerline that for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. They've been calling him that. But he thinks that he made that up. So hopefully you're watching, bro. You didn't make that up.
You
Plus,
think Legatron is disrespectful to Calvin Johnson? I think it respects him. I think it's cool because it's Megatron and Legatron. And
I agree.
And as a matter of fact, we're the villains. So screw Kevin
Zerline.
Screw Zerline.
We're the villain. We stole it.
Villains. We're going to take it from you.
That's what the villains do. We stole it from Greg Zerline. We stole it from Greg Zerline, dude. We didn't steal it from you in that comment. Here's A-Dub telling us. He says Malik Willis is likely going to be the QB2 based on his experience, and Clifford is likely going to be cut. I like the move for a veteran backup. I'm not high on him, but I feel he's serviceable upon potential. Better than Sean Clifford, though? Because Sean Clifford's flashed pretty good. I don't think Sean Clifford will make it through waivers. I don't think Clifford's coming back to you for the practice squad. Based on what I've seen of him last year, I didn't see any of him this year. Maybe he regressed. But Malik Willis didn't show us anything. Go look up his stats, career stats. It's terrible. It's 5 interceptions, 1 touchdown. His stats are worse than Nate Sudfeld's college stats, really. Nate Sudfeld, 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions in college. Look it up. Thanks for the take, though, A-Dub. Malik Willis going to be the number 2 in Green Bay is what A-Dub thinks. Carolyn says, I wish we had James Turner to challenge Bates for the kicker spot. I think it was a big mistake to let him go. Well, he's not going to make the Packers are the one that scooped him up. So he is still out there. Something happens to Jake Bates, or if he falters, maybe that's a guy they could bring in. I know he was a Michigan guy. Go Blue, Carolyn. Jack Fox made the number 3 jersey cool again. I love that. Yeah, after Joey ran it into the ground. Joey. Packers cut Johnson 2 weeks ago, Jeremy says. Well, you hear that music, you know what that means. It's about time to wrap this stuff up. I want to thank everyone for watching us today. We're going to be back again, same bat time, same bat channel next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Main Event Football Show. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Village Squad and at JC Sports on YouTube. Faith, family, and football. That's right, brother. That is right. And I think I'll do the sign off now. Oh, wait. What Jason says, was just talking with a friend. Me agreed Jerry Rice was as number 1, Randy Moss number 2, and Megatron number 3 all time. I'm not going to argue with that. I won't argue with that. I mean, Randy Moss, he's great. He's top 5. So if you want to put him at 2, I'm not going to argue with that. Those 3 names are all in the top 5. I'm not going to argue with that. Depends on how old you are, too. I mean, guys like Don Hudson can get into that conversation. Lynn Swan. I think this is a bold statement. When it's all said and done, Amon-Ra St. Brown might be in that conversation as well if he continues on the trajectory he's on.
He whipped Joe Lewis's ass.
Who whipped Joe Lewis's ass?
Joe Lewis is 75 years old. I know he wants to be guys' ass for him.
Tim the Tool Man. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll see you next week on the Lions main event football show. For Russell Wayne and all of us here at the Villain Squad and Main Event Mike, saying God bless each and every one of you. Peace out.
Hey, yo, the lies told that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, candles open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose when I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it, maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me, it's never the sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning, it's crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, it's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.